What happens when Spider-Man picks a fight with the wrong gangster? This time, Tombstone wins. Our story begins with Spider-Man in an unfamiliar situation. Defeated, his arms and legs are chained together, sitting unconscious in a dark tunnel with blood oozing from his mask. Suddenly, a voice breaks his slumber. "He's slept enough. Wake him up." Spidey's captor is revealed. Tombstone, the notorious gangster. Tombstone kicks Spidey in the gut, jarring him awake. "You hear me? Get up!" Tombstone grips the back of Spider-Man's head, lifting him by his tattered mask. "Don't! My mask!" "I don't play dress-up, and I don't care who you are." Tombstone cares about one thing: getting even with the vigilante who's interfering with his business. Tombstone wallops Spidey in the stomach, yanks his head back, and cracks him in the face. Spider-Man's fought against gods, alien warlords, and even the devil, but he's rarely taken a beating this bad. Spider-Man lays broken on the ground, screaming and straining against his chains. Tombstone smirks at the pathetic sight. "Chains aren't gonna give, and no one's gonna hear you. We're in an abandoned subway tunnel under my Harlem safe house." "What is this?" "This is me teaching you a lesson." Why is Tombstone so angry with Spider-Man? A few weeks back, Tombstone was making a deal with Rose, another one of New York's slimiest gangsters. He sent a proxy, White Rabbit, to do the deal. "Hope you brought the money. These things are getting harder to find." Of course, Spider-Man was there to break it all up. "Ah, a goblin glider. How many miles does it have on it?" "It's a bust. Digger!" Spidey was attacked by the Digger, Rose's undead muscle. "Been waiting for this for a long time." Spidey was outmatched. No time to play nice. He tore off Digger's zombie fingers before he was choked out. "Our fingers!" "You were choking me." "So? The Rose says you killed us last time." No. I wore you out and you melted. There's a distinction." While Spider-Man argues with the zombie, Rose's henchmen try to take off. Tombstone's men think they're trying to take off before they get paid, so they begin to fight amongst themselves. But Digger thinks he has a solution. "We got this!" Digger flips over a truck, causing an explosion and destroying all of the cash. Always the hero, Spidey leaps in the way to save White Rabbit from the explosion. Tough day to be Kareem. Who's Kareem? Inside one of the cars, one of Tombstone's henchmen, Kareem, is trapped. Spidey rushes in to the rescue, pulling Kareem out of the burning car. Spidey caught the bad guys, stopped an arms deal, and saved a life. Not bad for one night, right? Back at Tombstone's mansion, Tombstone takes a call. Apparently, Rose isn't happy about how the deal went down. "You guaranteed the deal, Tombstone. The Rose is in everyone's ear saying you can't run a territory. He's looking for an excuse to make a move." That move comes quicker than anticipated. As he pours himself a glass of wine, he smells something. The entire building goes up in a ball of fire. "I think we used too much fuel. We gotta go." "Relax, will ya? The Rose wanted it loud." Tombstone survived the explosion, of course. The point wasn't to kill him, but to send a message. Tombstone stumbled from the smoky inferno, wanting revenge on two people, the Rose and Spider-Man. A few days later, White Rabbit and Kareem are loading more munitions and superpowered costumes into a van. They're preparing for war against the Rose. They need as much cash as they can get. Suddenly, Spider-Man comes crashing through the ceiling to break up the party. Villains shouldn't forget Spider-Man's most important power, his ability to stick trackers onto SUVs. Light him up! But his Spidey sense doesn't go off. "Shoot him! He pulled me out of a burning car! What do you want me to do?" Spider-Man asks where Tombstone's been hiding, and White Rabbit is shockingly forthcoming. 106th and 2nd Street. I never told you that. Spidey swings away, leaving the two henchmen for the police. "Aren't you worried about selling out Tombstone like that?" "What makes you think I did?" Spidey arrives at the location White Rabbit gave up. It's the Crime Master's HQ. Tombstone came to bring Crime Master on his side, but when he decided to stay neutral, Tombstone slaughtered his entire crew. When Spidey arrives, he finds Tombstone sitting and waiting in the back of a truck, with the Crime Master tied up behind him. "What did you do?" "That deal you broke up called my skills as a businessman into question. I'm reasserting myself." "You're blaming this on me? You think this is all my fault?" Spider-Man web kicks Tombstone in the stomach, knocking him to the back of the truck. As they fight, the truck begins to take off, but Tombstone can't stop chuckling. "What's so funny? You wanted to teach me a lesson? Here I am." Spider-Man relentlessly beats Tombstone as vengeance for all the lives lost lost in Spider-Man's name. Is this what you wanted? Are you happy now?
Yeah, I am.
Spider-Man just realizes that his spider sense has been going off. The truck door closes shut. The walls start moving in.
Do you feel it?
How bad you just up? Spidey leaps to the air, trying to keep the walls from closing in. He's not about to go down without a fight. Spider-Man punches Tombstone in the face, but takes a shot to the ribs that knocks the wind out of him. Spider-Man tries to make a last-ditch move, but he's running out of room as the walls keep moving in. Tombstone grabs Spider-Man and crunches his ribs. The world fades to black as Spider-Man realizes the worst. He has lost. Back in the present, Spider-Man lies bloodied on the floor as Tombstone begins his villain speech.
First, a question. Why'd you come to Harlem and bust up my deal with the Rose? What did that have to do with you?
Spider-Man can only weakly utter a reply. Your guys are always trying to make it more complicated than it is. I'm a good guy. I try to stop the bad guys.
Huh, bad guys.
Tombstone lifts Spider-Man off the ground, ready to administer another beating. Just then, a henchman walks up with a box of roses. Where'd you want these roses, boss?
Upstairs with the crew, Donnie. Why the would I want them down here?
Spidey's intrigued. What is Tombstone doing with the roses calling card?
We're not talking about that yet. I want to talk about lions.
Yeah, right, lions. Makes perfect sense. Far off in upstate New York, a nice young couple is sitting in a diner. One is Randy Robertson, son of journalist Robbie Robertson and roommate to Peter Parker. His date, Janice Tombstone's daughter. He's not picking up. Randy can't focus on the date. His dad's not picking up. His dad always picks up. Randy, put your phone down. We're on vacation. Randy refocuses on Janice and begins to ask the question he'd been preparing. Well, you see, there are the kinds of trips I want to take with you for, a long time in the future. Randy Robertson, do you want to marry me? Oh, if I did, if that was in the future, I would ask you this place is great and all, but no, dumbass. I'm asking you to marry me. Yes, good answer. Now I've really got to get a hold of my dad. Back in the dungeon of a tunnel where Spidey lays defeated, Tombstone gives our hero a lesson on lions.
Lions stay out of people's way, for the most part. Have for thousands of years. But every once in a while, you get a man-eater. Something sets them off, and they start killing people. People smarter than me rack their brains trying to figure out why they do it. Food dry up? Ecosystem change?
Loving this, really, but my arms are falling asleep, so can we…
Point is, out of all the explanations I read, from all these scientists, not one of them was dumb enough to say, bad lion.
The loud rumbling of a train interrupts Spidey's zoology lesson.
It's just the F train. 3 train.
Tombstone grabs his goon's tie and yanks it up, choking him.
F doesn't come through Harlem.
You're right, boss. My mistake. Why would Tombstone get that mad about a simple mistake? You gonna blame that on a sore tooth?
What I'm saying is, a dog bites a man and you ask who's been kicking the dog. A man bleeds another man and you only ask how big a cage you should throw him in because he's bad. What kind of good guy gives less thought to a man than an animal?
Spidey's in pain, but he can't stop with the quips. You don't want to be called a bad guy. Got it. Can I go? Tombstone leans down, inches from Spider-Man's face. In all these years, Spidey's never asked why Tombstone turned to this life, why he's a criminal. Okay, Alonzo, why are you?
That's a great question.
Meanwhile, across town, we finally discover why Robbie's not answering his son's phone calls. He's in the back of a limo, staring at his phone.
Do you have service up there? I haven't had anything since I got in the car.
Nah, Mr. Robertson, no service in this area.
This area? We've been driving for 30 minutes. What do you mean?
Before the driver can lie, saying anything besides, this car blocks cell service, they pick up another passenger. Hey there, Dub Robs. It's the White Rabbit, Tombstone's second in command. Scooch over a bit, would you? The boss wants to see you, and we're already late. Back in the tunnel, Tombstone reveals his supervillain origin story.
People think filing my teeth was a strange choice. Wasn't a choice at all.
As a kid, little Lonnie Lincoln looked different. His complete lack of pigmentation in his skin caused him to be a social outcast. People mocked him relentlessly. To top it off, he was always hungry. No matter how much he asked, there was never enough for him. Eventually, he stopped asking. Then he stopped talking at all. The kids were cruel, and they'd beat him before school and steal his lunch money. Stopped asking for help, and nobody offered. Eventually, he had enough. One day, a group of kids grabbed him for his daily beating. "You know what you have to say, Lonnie. Say it. What's he saying? He's whispering? Come on, Lonnie. Spit it out. I'll give him some help." Lonnie whispered, just loud enough so they'd lean in close. Too close. Lonnie revealed his chompers, recently filed into fangs. He bit off his bully's ear. The bullies fled as Lonnie emerged from the alley covered in blood. Those never ate off me again. By high school, I was eating well. As he grew, so did his appetite. He'd fight and kill to take it, fighting the so-called good guys who could never understand him in the first place. There ain't so sin a man can commit in the process of feeding himself. Just as Tombstone wraps up his story, a dozen men in suits with a rose on their chest walk up. Rose's men? Ha, that's just what all your friends are gonna think. Tombstone reveals his plan. He's got goons dressed up like the Rose's men. They'll go on a rampage, shooting up all of 125th Street. When the heroes come, it'll be the Rose they blame. Tombstone, this is crazy. You don't want to do this. Civilians, they have nothing to do with this. Neither did you, but here you are. Spider-Man rips at his chains. Threatening his life is one thing, but a mass shooting to teach a lesson? Spidey pulls and pulls, but the chains don't budge. Before you die, I want you to know that I've got your old friend Robbie Robertson. Gonna show him what happens when his kid tries to take my daughter. Lonnie, stop! I've learned my lesson! Bet you have. Champ. A henchman pulls out his gun as Spider-Man continues to plead, not for his own life, but for the life of innocence. Time slows for a second. Spider-Man breathes, thinks, and assesses the situation. This is no time for my spider strength to fail me. Tombstone did the supervillain thing, told me his whole plan. Chains aren't budging. Think they're made of titanium. Adamantanium, if anyone asks. The gunman lifts his pistol to Spidey's temple. Only gonna get one chance at this. Spider sense will go crazy right before he pulls the trigger. Save my energy. Make one big move, roll over, get my web shooters on him. As the henchman's finger tightens on the trigger, Spidey's senses once again didn't go off. Why? Whoa, hold up! Another one of Tombstone's goons rushes in to stop the execution. Kareem! Change of plans. Boss wants us to peel off. He just wanted to scare him. Leave him, man. Let's go. This Kareem guy makes a whole lot of sense, but the gunman isn't buying it. That, I did 5 years in Rikers because of him. The gunman once again lifts his pistol. Kareem begins to reach behind his back where his gun sits in his waistband. Kareem whips out the gun in a flash, pointing it to the henchman before clocking the gunman on the nose. Kareem races to find the right key, unlocking the imprisoned Spider-Man. What are you doing? You pulled me out of a burning car. I'm not gonna let them do you like this. As Spidey removes his chains, all he's worried about is the shooting. Luckily, it hasn't started yet, but Tombstone's got Robbie. Gotta stop the shooters first. Careful, man. Only the crazy ones signed up for this job. I can be crazy too. Spidey wipes the blood from his eyes and limps toward the surface. Above ground, White Rabbit leads Robbie into a dilapidated apartment where Tombstone stands menacingly by the window. You never wanted to be my friend. Even when your boy started chasing my girl all over town. Hurt, but I gave you your space. Now Randy thinks he's gonna marry my Janice, which makes you a loose end I gotta tie up. Elsewhere, 3 goons sit at a table, munching on subs in front of a vault door. The vault begins to rumble and shake. The men jump up and draw their guns. Do you think it's Digger? Shut up! Look alive! The vault flies off its handles. Spider-Man bursts through, webbing up the henchman's guns and cracking skulls. Don't know how much time I have. Gotta be fast. As he fights as efficiently as possible, Spidey makes a phone call to Randy. Where are you? Driving back into the city. Hey, I've got some news. Randy, shut up. I need you to find Tombstone. He's in Harlem. He's got your dad. A few goons begin to catch up with Spidey, but he leaves them with a surprise. A splotch of webbing on the floor. They collapse into a heap. Peter, what is happening? Find Tombstone. Whatever it takes. Peter hangs up. Randy turns to his new fiancée. We gotta go see your father. Now. My dad? That's a terrible idea. Now. Janice steps on the pedal and they whiz through the city toward Lonnie's house. Meanwhile, Spider-Man's still fighting his way through Tombstone's goons. He can't stop thinking about Robbie, but he's got to trust Randy and focus up. Spidey knocks 4 guys down with one move. When a few more approach, he slams shut a vault door, sealing them away. But it appears like Tombstone's got an endless supply of henchmen. 4 more appear, only to find a mess of webs. Where'd he go? They realize too late. The ceiling! Spidey webs them from above, then crashes on top of them, knocking them down for the count. Spidey crawls further into the building, where he finds 4 more goons. Emerging from the shadows, he utters some bad news for these guys. No more web fluid. He leaps down, beating up bad guys the old-fashioned way. Keep going, Peter. This is the kind of fight you don't get to stop. At Tombstone's place, Janice screeches to a halt. Randy, don't be a dumb. Let me talk to him so you don't get killed. Randy ignores her. He jumps out the door, barging inside. Randy gets to a door, met by 2 men in suits with guns. Do I cap him? No, man. It's cool. Meanwhile, Spidey continues his rampage. He gets to the head of the goons, a man dressed like the Rose. The man takes a couple shots at Spidey, but they're easily dodged. Spider-Man responds with an uppercut. He grabs the unconscious body, but he realizes something terrifying. This isn't dress-up. This isn't a game. This is Richard Fisk, the Rose. Spidey looks outside. I'm not in Harlem. Spider-Man was under the Rose's hideout. These are the Rose's men. Tombstone played Spider-Man into winning his gang war for him. Back at Tombstone's place, Robbie sits comfortably with a cup of steaming coffee. Randy? Dad, are you okay? I'm in shock, to be completely honest. Alonzo here tells me we're gonna be related. Tombstone didn't hurt Robbie. He was never in danger. He just wanted to share the good news. I firmly suggested he use a phone next time, but you know Alonzo. Janice comes running in. Don't hurt him! Relax, Janice. I don't do that anymore. What about your war? I left it to the proper authorities. Spider-Man leans against the window as police lights emerge, broken and battered after doing Tombstone's dirty work.